career training provider for the San Antonio Spurs. Learn it, do it, live it.
Well, Congress is trying to tackle anti-Semitism with a new bill that could have major impacts on the protests happening at colleges. Supporters say the legislation will crack down on hate speech against Jewish people, while opponents argue it goes too far. Our Washington reporter, Hannah Brandt, explains why. Good morning, Hannah.
Danielle, good morning. The bill is called the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, and it would dramatically change the federal definition of anti-Semitism, which could have important consequences.
As the Israel-Hamas war plays out overseas, pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses are capturing the attention of Congress.
It is long past time that Congress act to protect Jewish Americans from the scourge of anti-Semitism on campuses.
Congressman Russell Fry says that's why he supports the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. It would change federal anti-discrimination law to use the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition of anti-Semitism, which would make certain language and chants used at protests punishable by law.
Now more than ever, it is critical that the federal government's definition of anti-Semitism is clear and uniform.
Congressman Michael Burgess says that would give the Education Department more authority.
So universities are empowered to take appropriate and decisive steps to keep Jewish students safe and respond to exercises of speech that are so hostile and discriminatory.
But Congressman Jerry Nadler argues the bill is too broad.
This bill threatens to chill constitutionally protected speech. Speech that is critical of Israel alone does not constitute unlawful discrimination.
Instead, some Democrats are pushing to pass the Countering Anti-Semitism Act, which would establish a national White House coordinator to combat anti-Semitism. Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon called that legislation
a much more bipartisan, solution-oriented, useful bill.
And Congressman Jim McGovern agreed, saying lawmakers need to come together on this.
It is a mistake to not approach these issues with more unifying actions.
In a split vote, lawmakers did pass the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act out of committee, setting it up for a vote in the full House later this week. Danielle, back to you.
Thank you, Hannah. Well, this legislative battle is playing out at home. The U.S. Secretary of State is in the Middle East trying to address the war in a different way. Is that correct?
That's right. Secretary Blinken is in Jordan right now, and he'll be in Israel later today, where he's trying to help negotiate a ceasefire that would also include a hostage release. He says that Israel has put an offer on the table, and he's urging Hamas to accept it.
Our Washington correspondent, Hannah Brandt, thank you. All right, well, in your consumer news, you might want to check your fridge to see if you bought any Stockmeyer prosciutto. Now, the 5.29-ounce package of deli meat are being recalled because it was not inspected properly. Even though there have been no confirmed reports of anyone getting sick, you should still throw the meat away. You could also return the meat for a refund. And the government is now testing samples of ground beef sold in stores in the states where outbreaks of bird flu have occurred in dairy cows. The USDA is already mandating lactating dairy cows test negative for the virus before being transported across state lines. The agency recommends that consumers properly handle raw meats and cook them to a safe internal temperature to kill bacteria and viruses. And the Biden administration plans to roll out new requirements for all new cars. The plan requires all new cars and trucks come with pedestrian collision avoidance systems that include automatic emergency braking by the end of the decade. It's designed to prevent rear end and pedestrian crashes and reduce the roughly 40,000 traffic deaths that happen each year.
Now, we're living through a crisis in roadway deaths. Car crashes kill about as many people as gun violence in this country. We want to make sure this isn't just a bell and whistle that you get if you pay extra for it, but really the floor, the same way every car has to have seatbelts in it.
Now, these new features will come with a price jump of about $82. And the Federal Trade Commission announced a company that allegedly sold fake N95 masks during the pandemic must refund over $1 million to all customers. Regulators say Razer and its affiliates marketed a mask as an N95 without submitting it to federal agencies for testing or for certification. The company was also ordered to pay a $100,000 fine.
Here's a live look at South Texas College in McAllen. A quiet morning Not seeing issues with fog there and also not seeing any rain. I'm trying to see where we can get these sprinkles here on radar. It's really difficult to tell what is the rain and what is the ground clutter when you're just looking at this image. We could have a couple of very light sprinkles mixed in with some of these very